5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow is deployed. Full course yellow is deployed.
Yes, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of Full Course Yellow. This is just our Wednesday night get-together where we sit and have a bit of a chat about all things motorsport. Joining us on the program tonight, we've got Craig Doc Latigo. Joining us all the way from Queensland is Mr. Mark Jones, and also joining us is Chris Ritchie as well. Pete taking a break tonight. Pete, if you're feeling a bit crook, I hope you get better soon.
Richard's probably recovering from Phillip Island still.
From Phillip Island, yeah, had a pretty good weekend, I think.
Did he?
Down there. Yeah. So anyway, we'll be talking about that. I'm a bit thrown in more ways than one because I was saying to the guys just before we came on, I only just hooked up a couple of seconds ago. I just had a bit of a snooze, and but I woke up with a hurry because when I turned the light on that is illuminating me, I got whacked. Bad. My hand is still tingling. So
shocking.
Yeah, shocking. Very, very, very much so. Also, speaking of shocking, it now appears as we've just had our most probably our best indication yet that Daniel Ricciardo's Formula One career is probably over at the end of the year, with Helmut Marko telling a local newspaper in Austria that it is definite Liam Lawson will replace Daniel Ricciardo at RB next year. Hasn't no official announcement, but in the interview, he has certainly said that that's going to be the case. We've got the quote here saying the shareholders have made it known that it is a junior team. This is RB's talking about, of course, and we have to act accordingly. The goal with Daniel was that he would be considered for Red Bull Racing with exceptional performances. That seat now belongs to Sergio Perez, so that plan is no longer valid. We have to put a young driver in there soon. That would be Liam Lawson. The paper was the Klein Zeltung, apparently, whatever that means. But so that's the
Zetung.
Zetung, yeah. So whatever that means in Austrian, that's what it is. Not sure how reliable a publication they might or might not be, but they're quoting directly.
I was going to say they've put themselves up in their quotation marks, so they're obviously put their reputation and their money on the line.
Yeah, so and now of course you can't whatever Helmut says is not necessarily gospel. He's made a few big statements in the past, let's face it, but it's certainly sounding like it, and it would make sense. I mean, RB was always considered to be the junior team, and the plan was definitely to get Daniel back behind the wheel of a Formula One car again, and probably replace Sergio at the end of the year. And unfortunately for Daniel, his performances haven't really justified that, and Sergio has ended up re-signing. Now, of course, it is quite possible that Red Bull could lose Max Verstappen, but then I think it's unlikely, but they're still talking about that as a possibility. Toto Wolff has already come out and said that he would certainly at the end of the year like to be more than happy to speak to Max about joining Mercedes to replace Lewis Hamilton, who's moving to Ferrari. So let's see. But yes, that certainly sounds like that's about the most direct.
Same sort of thing, Brett, but at the same sort of, I think probably similar reputational publication has also put their butt on the line as well too today. I think Ollie Behrman is imminent to be signed with Haas as well too, which is going to be announcement before the Grand Prix this weekend as well too. So it's obviously the Daniel Ricciardo is closer to our own hearts, but it's a similar sort of situation. There's musical chairs going on. There's only a certain amount of seats, and Ollie's obviously proved his worth as the reserve driver in the practice sessions, plus filling in for Ferrari earlier on.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly did well for Ferrari. He hasn't set the world on fire this year in Formula 2, really, when you have a look at it. But at the same time, he did such a great job in that sort of one-off appearance for Ferrari that they would be very keen to keep him. The other reason that they're talking about Lawson picking up the RB drive is it's a bit like the Oscar Piastri situation. His contract apparently said that if they didn't have a seat for him next year, that he would be free to go to any other team, and I don't think they want to lose him. So he's still very young. He's obviously very talented. Good media performer. Good performer in general. If we can get him onto the show next year before the Grand Prix, not only do we have someone that we can have a bit of a chat to about the world of Formula One, but we're also covered for music as well, because he's in a band and he's actually pretty damn good. For the first time today, I saw on his YouTube channel, he put up some music with he and a couple of mates singing, and they're going to release that stuff fairly soon, and they were pretty damn good. So.
Exceptionally fast delivery van driver as well too. So that we'd be asking about.
Not as fast as Romain Demar, who took not the van but the Ute up Pikes Peak on the weekend to set a new record again and to win another Pikes Peak again in the all electric Ford Lightning in the USA. So that's so great performance. There's so much motorsport happening.
Oh, now have you checked the messenger from? I sent you a message 2 days ago.
Regarding what?
Regarding anything at all. I'll check now to see if you've checked it. I sent you. So it was a bit of breaking news a couple of days ago. There was only one media outlet that run it. Let's see across. Brett. No, still over 2 days ago, and you haven't checked that message I sent you.
No, well, see, I have discovered, for those of you who are out there and are looking for the secret of Zen and the secret of wonderful and of feeling good and feeling relaxed and all that, I have now gone back into lockdown again, and I found the secret to happiness is not just not looking at my email or not looking at messages that come on, but turning the phone off for about 3 days has been marvellous, and I'm not sure I'm going to turn the bloody thing back on.
You've done full course yellow other stuff the last couple of days and other chats I've noticed I'm on with you, but you didn't do that one, which was, I can't show it because I've got a green screen background. Ferrari series to start in Australasia, and I commented slim in detail, but definitely big news for the deep pocket big boy pants. So did you have what I'm talking about?
They've done that a couple of times. They've run out here. They've run at the Bend. They also ran at the Grand Prix. So I haven't seen that.
And at Barbagallo once.
Barbagallo once, yeah. So they've done it. They've done it a few times, and increasingly, thankfully, there are a few of these Asian-based series that have.
Well, no, this is going to be a dedicated Ferrari for those.
Ferrari Challenge Australia.
Okay. And great! Just what we need, another race series to
one-week series.
That's what they put all in the comments.
Nowhere enough of them.
That's what they put in the comments too. Oh, no,
yeah, God, for God's sake, stop this rubbish. Bloody one makes enough of them. They're boring.
No, well, they'll probably end up on the Formula One card, so you can't knock them completely.
Oh, of course they will, because they got money, and as you say, I mean,
what did I say? Deep pocket, big boy pants. I sent you 2 days ago.
Well, Lamborghini Super Trofeo was on the Formula One program at Canada, I believe, and
it was also on the card. It was also on the card for the South Australian State Circuit Racing Championships a couple of weeks ago too. So they'll race just about anywhere, and it's there was a good turnout. It was a great race, surprisingly big turnout. But we're seeing increasingly this is becoming increasingly the case. I mean, we've got the Victorian State Championships on the weekend with some very disappointing fields in a lot of categories. As I think we said last week, the numbers were down to such a level that they've dropped the blend line coverage because they really can't justify the cost of it with such small fields. And when you have a look at the price that they've had to that they've got to pay, they're talking about $900 for a garage, $800 for entry. So you're looking at around $1,700. If you want a garage, if you want to be professional, you want to keep out of the wild weather at Phillip Island, which most people would. it's going to cost you like $1,700 just to get sort of three races and a qualifying session. So I can't see that as being justified. And a lot of categories like the XLs, like the under 2 litre sports sedans, and a few others, and the sports cars have all said, no, we'll go and do our own thing. We'll hire the track ourselves, or we'll muck in with another couple of categories, or with a club sprint or something like that, and we'll race with them instead. I think the under 2 litre sports sedans at Phillip Island said that their entry fee was $500 for the weekend, and that included the garage. So so that's so way cheaper. But yeah, getting very expensive.
Have they shot themselves in the feet a little bit with the access meetings being that little bit cheaper to run and compete in, and that sort of undercut the state championship meetings?
Yeah, well, it's really good for PIARC as well, because they get to run their access meetings for their own members, and these categories come in, whether it's supercarts, XL, any of sports cars, any of the other categories that do come on board, under 2 litre sports sedans. Anybody that can't get a run on the state series are moving into these series, and basically paying for the day. They don't, because it's not a full state series. They're not paying as much in terms of permits for track permits. They're not paying as much for insurance, because there's no spectators allowed officially. They're not paying anything at all for live streaming and television. I believe that's close to $30,000 now. Anybody wants to correct me on that, but I've been told that it is now $30,000 for the live stream. So it's an awful lot of money they've got to find for a state round, when you can, if you just want to go out and get laps and have some fun, do what the XL guys did on the weekend with down at one of the access meetings. But anyway, let's say hello to a few people. Box is joining us again. G'day to Box. We'll talk about Phil. We'll talk about Phillip. We might as well talk about, because we spoke about Phillip Island. If you have a look at Race Talk, I think it's the site that Mark Walker and Richard Crail run. Mark was down there at the access meeting taking some shots, and he had shots of the new improvements. They're not completed yet, but Phil was down there as well, saying smoother for the bikes when they come off. If all the spots I saw over the weekend are going to get 6 foot plus fences, and it looks like they will, it'll be disappointing. Plus extra bitumen runoff. I mean, the cars run wide with no penalties, so that's ruined in my book. So that's the thing. If you have a look at the photos, there's posts right around the back, around Siberia, pretty much around. It looks like the plan is to put catch fencing right around the track, which would be an absolute pain, because at the moment you can just basically stand in the spectator areas, and we do. I mean, we shoot basically in the main. We shoot from the spectator areas, because you get really good shots from there. You don't need to jump the fence for the sake of it if you've got a good lens. So you can get some really good shots at Phillip Island, and really good viewing. But now the top end of the circuit has been ruined in terms of spectator viewing, and now it looks like the rest of the circuit is going to be the same. Understand that they've got to make it safe and all the rest of it, but it just catch fences are a bloody nuisance. They've ruined.
Well, if you bring up Phil's comment paragraph there again, I think, like you just said, Brett, the safety issues and concerns are always the paramount. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, you've got to comply to some regulations as well too. But the last little bit he wrote, plus the extra bitumen runners, I wonder how necessary some of those are, because as it says, the cars can run at one wide and basically with no penalty because they would have been sand trapped or gardening. And if they were doing those, it's a get out of jail free card. And
Well, once
it's
again,
doing.
that's being done for the FIM for the bikes, and as we've said in the past, and as Andrew Foxes and the people down there have always said, as far as they're concerned, Phillip Island is a bike circuit. That's raison d'etre is to run the World Superbikes and the MotoGP. That's its primary reason for being there, and they need to, if they want to continue to do that, then like Phillip Island or any other, Albert Park or any other international track, they've got to comply with the regulations. And the FIM in their last track audit at Phillip Island made a whole bunch of suggestions, and Phillip Island are setting it all up. So so that is going to make things perhaps a little. It'll still, obviously it'll still be a great track for racing and for driving. All it's just for spectators. That idea of just being able to sit there and watch the cars go past and take some photos and not have 7 foot of obstructions in front of you. That looks like those days are soon going to be over.
Yeah, there'll be very limited holes in the armour to be able to.
Well, that's going to be the thing, is they don't even try to do that anymore. I mean, they used to at least put in some access points where you could get in there and get some shots. I mean, for us, it's not going to be a huge problem because we have media accreditation and we can jump in. Well, I hope we have media accreditation. We can jump in, on the right side of the thing and not have that problem. But it was just nice to be able to sort of not have to worry about climbing over gates and through gates and all the rest of it. So
the other thing is, if they put some elevation in, which is even temporary stands, then they have to start ticketing them again, and then increases the price of the entry, and obviously,
also it increases. We talked about the cost of running things like Blendline and all of it. If you have a look at Blendline, one of those costs would be the cost of all the scaffolding they've got to put in, and it'll be like Sandown. I mean, you can't film at Sandown anymore without scaffolding or at least 1 or 2 elevated platforms. So that's a cost if you've got to hire or buy and construct that, and bring it in on the Thursday or Friday morning and take it out on the Monday. It's all extra costs. So in the meantime, Calder Park sits out there, and they've had one round of the State Series out there. It's much cheaper to get that particular track. Winton is still fairly affordable, I believe. But the State Series,
and it's a long way of getting some permanent upgrades as well too.
Well, it's also a long way to go up to Winton. But the point is, they have the State Series. They have one round at Winton. They have one round at Calder Park. They have 2 rounds at Phillip Island, which is the most expensive circuit to go on. They've got 2 rounds at Sandown, which is also pretty expensive, and will probably, who knows when it'll be closed. It looks like that's going to be
within 5,
at least 3 or 4 years away at the moment. But
still within 5 as the permits progress.
G'day to Dogfish. He'll be happy about the news about the Liam Lawson situation, if it's true. As I said, we don't know it's true, but that's the quote that is coming out of the Austrian media at the moment, directly attributed to Helmut Marko, is that Liam is on the way in. Okay, so let's have a look. Oh yes, there we are. We might get some views from some of you. Pete's not here to talk Formula One, of course, but let's get the Briatore.
I just read the first few words and then got a giggle out of it. Yeah, and now I'll read the rest.
The man who was supposedly banned for life from motorsport is officially back with Alpine. Mark, we'll start with you. What do you think about? Do we welcome Flavio back with open arms?
Well, possibly not, but he's there, so it's already happened. And he's already he was at the Grand Prix at Spain on the weekend, and of course, he's got history with this particular race team under its various previous names.
Has he got history?
Yes, colourful. At the very least, you would describe his history there. But yeah, certainly there needs to be something happening over at Alpine, and not just at the not just. Well, I mean, he's involved with the Formula One program specifically, but there's also the sports car program. The cars are fast, but they're not reliable, which is kind of the opposite problem with the Formula One cars. They don't seem to have a problem finishing races on mechanical reliability. It's just they're not fast, and their drivers are not. Well, I suppose they did have a turnaround in Spain. Their form was considerably better at the Spanish Grand Prix. Maybe it's just down to a more familiar kind of circuit for the French team, but it's a big world championship. Be you can't run in Formula One and only be competitive on the European leg. You've got to be able to race everything and everywhere. But yeah, Flavio. Well, it's fait accompli. He's there, and he's be taking note. Mind you, he didn't exactly look like he was interviewed a couple of times on the Brundleless grid walk, and he didn't seem to be all there. He was.
Yes, I've heard that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a young man
What
anymore.
would
I mean,
indicate
no.
that?
And I suppose English isn't his first language, so he may have been, and he may not have had a lot of call in recent times to speak in English. So it could just be that he had to engage the brain a bit more to speak to the British Formula
So you're
One.
saying he's been taken out of context?
Well, no, I'm just creating excuses for him for him appearing to be, completely disinterested or.
That's what I said, taken out of context because it's not the real him.
Well, yeah. Well, what is the real Flavio?
yeah, I think what it says about Alpine in general and about that whole motorsport thing is that the appointment has come not from within the team itself but from the CEO of Renault.
Yeah.
And once again, it's another old European man, employing another old European man and saying this will fix everything. We need to go back to the way it was in the 1980s, to our glory days, and let's get Flavio back because he's the man. He's been out of the scene for quite some time. He's very heavily connected, of course, with Bernie Ecclestone, and those days are well and truly over now, so he can't play any favours there.
And his connections with Mechachrome of like the 2010s or 2000s or so aren't going to be as relevant to him anymore as if Mechachrome is perceived to be the problem.
And that's I mean that's going to be the thing, whether they want to continue running the Renault branded engine from Mechachrome, or whether they switch over. And it's certainly appearing. Everybody seems to be saying that this is probably going to end up as a Mercedes powered car. So that's going to be hard. I don't know how Renault sort of sell that as saying, it's almost Renault saying, hi, our engines aren't good enough for Formula One, so we've gone to Mercedes, who build fabulous engines. From a marketing point of view, how do you put the spin on it?
Rebrand the team as Nissan.
Well, there's a point that would work out as I mean,
they're not going to, definitely, but that would. Like a Nissan Mercedes would be more palatable than a Alpine Mercedes. I suppose they've already, in rebranding the team to Alpine, they've already put a layer of insulation between Renault and any potential Renault Mercedes connection.
Yeah, so and it's also believed that Alpine or Renault are still looking at the possibility of trying to get back into the American market and using Alpine in the same way that sort of Honda uses Acura and Nissan has used Infiniti in terms of trying to get in there. We lost Chris for a moment, but I think that's the that's going to be the problem in terms of how they spin it. But obviously, they're not happy with the Mechachrome engine. But yeah, I mean, he's colourful. He'll be like Helmut Marko. Chris is back. He'll be like Helmut Marko in that he'll be good for a controversial quote every now and again, and he'll say something outrageous and hopefully not too offensive. And yeah, I think that at least that part of the equation will be good. But yeah. So anyway,
you said you're going around the room. Who you going, Chris or me next?
Doc, have you got something to say?
Well, you said you're going to go through all of it, so I was waiting for my turn. That was all. Well, you did. That's why I didn't interrupt. So I'll just keep it brief. I'll just say, does Alpine need the attention and the controversy? No, there's plenty anyway. Alpine gets at the present time that it's in its situation it's in as well too. You've pretty much dabbled on its performances so far this year in the Formula One concept anyway. So if he's curbed his ways a little bit, the controversial part, I agree with Brett. He will definitely say those from time to time. However, whether he makes an impact on the team as you put forward, as an old nag, is bringing his old style of management. Well, I reckon he's going to probably rub a few people the wrong way. You never may know how much it was if they ever get paid off or get swept on the table, or he gives them a shove out the door when he arrives properly. So yeah, it's hopefully it doesn't do any more damage and gets the improvement that the hierarchy wants him to do. Because
I think one thing that they've sort of said is that like part of his brief has been to deal with and find driving talent. I'm not sure whether having him involved is going to be a good thing for Mick Doohan. Mick Schumacher is going to also run some. He's going to run some tests with them he's going to get a few drives during the year along with Mick. And it's looking like it might be a straight shootout at this stage between Mick and Jack Doohan as to who gets the ride for next year. So under those circumstances, I'm thinking that because of probably connection with the family and all the rest of it, and the power of the name within Formula One, that if it comes down to Flavio's choice sounds like a movie. Flavio's Choice with Meryl Streep.
Or a slightly odd episode of MasterChef. Flavio's Flavor.
I like that. That's could be a new Italian restaurant chain in come to Flavio's Flavor.
Don't put it in Melbourne. We're at inflation at 4.4% at the moment. We don't need any more, thank you.
Yeah, so anyway, he'll add a bit of colour to the thing, but I'm not sure that that's possibly good news for whether it's good news for Jack or for Jack or not. I don't know. I don't know the relationship there, but I'm thinking probably that if he's going to go one way or the other, he's probably going to jump towards Mick rather than Jack. So anyway, so that's Formula One news. They'll be in action we're hoping they'll be in action again this weekend. Another thing that's come out of the Austrian media is a threat by environmental groups to try and shut the race down. They've said that, quote, that they're calling on they're calling on all their supporters to come along and, quote, disrupt this wasteful and vile event and hopeful and make sure that it doesn't go ahead. So
they'll have to get someone to go and look for the keys for the padlocks in the bloody grass somewhere so they can get up that they threw away when they chained themselves to it in the first place, weren't they? So hopefully they can't find the bloody rusty keys first to get themselves unlocked from the trees.
Busy in other ways protesting about the Palestinians.
Yeah, well, that's a different thing altogether. But I think I think we've been very lucky. I think in a way that we haven't had more disruption. I mean, after the British Grand Prix thing, I thought we might get a bit more chaos from them. I mean, because they've they've done some pretty crazy things in terms of vandalizing artworks and spray painting Stonehenge and all sorts of really crazy things. It's got nothing to do with their nothing at all to do with their cause. But yeah, I can see them see them turning up, and obviously there's going to be increased security, and hopefully that'll take care of things, and everybody's safe, because they dodged a bullet with the Silverstone thing a couple of years ago. They were very lucky that there'd been an earlier crash earlier in the lap that sort of brought out the full course yellow earlier. Otherwise, because if those cars had been racing full on when those idiots ran out there, we'd be talking about a significant tragedy now. Okay, so anyway, so that's Formula One. That's happening this weekend.
Do you reckon Red Bull have any actual bulls? They could put them on patrol.
Have they got any red ones?
They've got metal ones. They've got a big metal one out there. It's a great schedule, great track. Good, it's a really good track, and has produced some pretty good racing.
Well, they could probably get Daniel to ride the bulls instead of actually riding the horses like they do in Texas. He might be up for put a rein over it.
Just going back to Daniel Ricciardo, I think as Jared is saying, Ford might have different ideas than Helmut Marko. It's interesting to note that Daniel is doing a lot of stuff online for Ford at the moment. Lots of they obviously have, particularly in America, Ford are very, very keen on Daniel because he's incredibly popular over there, and he does like a prank thing where he dresses up and gets into gets into disguises and goes and pranks various Ford dealers and celebrities and all the rest of it. So that's all.
What percentage has Ford got of the Red Bull shares at the moment? That's just a curiosity.
Well, it's just an engine deal at the moment. It's a branding and sponsorship, but you would imagine with the money that they're putting in there that they might have some influence. And do they have enough influence to turn around and say to RB,
what's it take to keep him in?
Yeah, what's it take to keep him in?
What does Daniel need to be in the seat to continue to be Ford's prankster?
No, not really. I mean, he's got a career in the media waiting for him the moment he walks out of there. Even if he doesn't want to race again, I mean, Sky F1 have said, we'll grab him like that. I would think the American coverage, with the ESPN or whoever's covering it over there at the moment, would also be desperate to get hold of him. He's doing some stuff behind the scenes. Apparently co-writing and co-producing a quote Formula One inspired sitcom, so for Apple TV. So that's on the.
Oh, I hope it's going to be Daniel Ricciardo and Jacques Villeneuve going to all of the venues together. I mean, that's got to be a winner.
Just like Gunther and what's his name at the moment. They're having they will actually have, it won't appear. I think it might be Jacques as well too, or someone else here. But they won't appear on camera together. It's a significant agreement that's unwritten.
Well, I think with Jacques, I mean, Jacques has become also, there's people like he's become like the new Nicky Lauda stroke Jackie Stewart sort of, dial a quote person. Like him and Ralph Schumacher are the, if you want an outrageous, take on Formula One, I mean, they are dial a quote. It's like, Ralph, what do you think of Valtteri Bottas? Oh, he is useless and he should not be. You just pull a name out of the hat, and he's and Ralph.
It's not as good as David Schumacher.
Not as good as that. Yeah, that's usually something. It's usually something to do with his family, or
I think it's just more like he's comfortable being a prick at the moment and just smashing and slamming people. And he's anyway.
Dogfish is sort of saying, Jeremy saying, I know it's not on topic. Looking forward to seeing Mad Mike's Rotary McLaren at Goodwood. Also, the news that Mad Mike will be at World Time Attack running the Mazda that was run at Pikes Peak. So there's going to be a few really, really fast, really interesting cars once again out at out at World Time Attack. It'd be unfortunately, being up in Sydney and all the rest of it, and particularly at Sydney Motorsport Park, because I worked out last time it had cost me about sort of $220 to fly up to Sydney, but it had cost me about $350 to get out and back to Sydney Motorsport Park.
Jetstar announced yesterday one way is to Sydney for $44.
Yeah, well, that's it. You can usually pick up, although that's the problem. You do have to leave at sort of 5 o'clock in the morning and come back at similar times the next morning. But yeah, by the time you get accommodation there, by the time you've either got to hire a car or get a taxi. The taxi, I think last time I heard, was around $75 each way. So you might as well hire a car. And if you hire a car now, you used to be able to pick up a car for like $70, $80 a day. Now it's $130, $140, $180. So yeah. But yeah, so Mad Mike will be at Sydney Motorsport Park. We'll be running the Mazda there. So
a quick announcement too, if you're talking about New South Wales. I saw within the last week, it could have been slightly after our full course yellow last week, that the Canberra gig that was after Bathurst last year is on again this year. I think too, Brett, we were looking at going. We would have liked to have gone, but it obviously doesn't fit anyone's schedule or state or time frame. So, yeah, what was it? What was the Canberra thing we saw, Brett?
Yeah, Festival of Speed.
Yeah. Canberra. They're going to run that again. Apparently, it got some good attendance and significant interest last year, and it's bragging about being bigger and better again. So, if you're
so that's coming. Also, right at the start of the year, and I'd love to go over for this, I've already sort of put feelers out and said, hey, if anybody wants to, make it possible for us to go, I'm certainly putting up my hand for it. Early in New Zealand, they have a lot of really big historic meetings in January and February over there, and they've got a Formula Atlantic / Pacific Festival where they're going to have cars from all over the world. And if you've got a Formula Pacific car, one of the old cars here in Australia, they've got a really fantastic deal where they're going to basically pay the freight for you to go over to take your car over to New Zealand.
Boat or air?
Boat. It'll be ship. So so you head across to the ship and then do one race, this particular main race at Topor, and then also later on, about 2 weeks later, pretty much I think probably the same weekend, unfortunately, as the Bathurst 12-hour, there will be the annual historic at Hampton Downs. So you can go over and you can get 2, 3, however many races that you can get over in New Zealand, and they're going to the club are going to cover, and their sponsor are going to cover the transport to get you across there. So that's a fabulous deal if you've got that sort of car.
You just want to go across and bungee jump nude, don't you? I know you do. You've been wanting to do it for
decades. Been there, done that. So and I didn't need rope.
That's a fair call. That's all right. Cautions: severe overhang here. Handle with care.
This is just disturbing.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get back onto some black stuff then. Did I? I don't know much about it. I'm just going to introduce a topic. I saw something about a new supercar tire in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, they tested up your way today, Mark. Tested at Queensland Raceway. They had 2 cars out there. They had the Commodore and a Mustang from Dick Johnson Racing. They tested the existing tyres. They also tested a brand new soft compound tyre, which they're hoping will provide for some better racing for next year. I mean, this is the $1 million question: is how can they make the racing? How can they make the racing more entertaining? They're looking for a tyre that perhaps isn't quite as robust as the soft compound they've got at the moment, because the only reason they're changing off of that soft compound tyre at a lot of the tracks is basically they have to. What they're looking for is something that if they decide to try and run a few laps longer, it's going to come with a bit of a penalty. So they're going to have to take a bit of a gamble. Can we make this tyre live for that extra few laps before we
Less degradation.
get on
You're
to
talking about?
Yeah, well,
yeah.
and less greater temperature control over the tire, so that it doesn't
Really
overheat
changing
as
the compound.
yes, they're doing something. They had a Dick Johnson Mustang and a Matt Stone Camaro out there for a run to gather data on the
What
on the
was the
new
weather
tire.
like up there? What was the weather like up there today?
A typical Queensland winter. It's cold for us, but not cold for any of you.
It'd be paradise for us.
It was very nice today. We got up to 17 today. It was very nice.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
managed to catch a cold.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm wearing shorts as we speak, so there you go. I'm in the shorts all day.
The
Shorts and the
thermostat's probably on 21, like mine though. I bet.
One thermostat. I got no bloody heating in this place at the moment.
Exactly.
Well, I suppose with the weather the way it was, that it's better to test at Queensland Raceway where it is slightly warmer, and of course with lots of big brake applications over the course of a Queensland Raceway lap, that helps to because a large part of the
calendar.
There's a lot of those sort of QR style corners scattered around the championship. So there's a lot to be learned,
And the
it
warmer months.
is brand new on there, and so
So
at least they can get. Oh, sorry, you go, Doc.
I was just going to say, I was going to ask a question. Would the degradation probably suit as you said, the resurfacing that you just mentioned?
Yeah, and I suppose, Queensland Raceway is notorious for its inconsistency as far as getting test results over. It's difficult to, you blink and the track conditions change. What's the word for it? Repeatability. It's difficult to get repeatability of results. You go out and try the same, make the same changes. It's just one of the little quirks of QR.
So consistent
It
data wouldn't be
take-
the norm. And sorry, go Chris.
Sorry, it doesn't take much change in weather to cause significant differences in tyre testing results. That's for sure.
Well, yeah.
Very much so.
A bunch of clouds will achieve that without any precipitation from it. Just a shade.
UV, no UV, I suppose, and as you said, a couple of degrees, and try and switch a tyre on, and yep.
Well, that's why I asked about the weather and all that, to see, if it was, because it has been sort of unnaturally cold right across the east coast of Australia, and so and it was also very, very wet up in New South Wales on the weekend. So I was wondering that, as far as I know, that it was pretty dry up there.
Yeah. There's there was no rain in Brisbane, and going by the media that was put out about the test, that it looks like it didn't rain out at Ipswich either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be interesting to see, because obviously Dunlop are having a look at what they can do, because they're desperate to get more consistency and some more passing and some better racing. Of course, they've got to get any racing at the moment. The problem is that there's been so many gaps, and it's very hard to figure out. With the amount of travel that they've got to do, it'd be very hard to figure out how they solve that problem, because I think they'd be better off starting the series in New Zealand. I think that would solve a lot of problems. They start off in New Zealand in February, then cruise across to do the Grand Prix, and then do the southern states, and then perhaps have a couple of weeks break, and then move on and do a sort of Perth, Darwin, Townsville, down to just back down to the southern states, run around there.
Logistically, it might be better to start in New Zealand, but it's not going to provide that publicity splash that you want to kick off the
Yeah,
championship.
that'll be the problem. But in terms of the conditions over there, I don't know. I mean, in terms of I think there'd be a lot of people here who would say, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to go to the Grand Prix, or do I want to go to New Zealand and in the summit and with other meetings over there, like the historic stuff and New Zealand, January, February would be a very, very appealing. Would be very appealing for a lot of people. But anyway, there I will get out there because that's certainly there. I've just got to find the thing from Naggers again, just to quote. Got a bit of a shock the other day. One of the big figures behind the scenes in local motorsport, Bruce Robertson, passed away last over the weekend. If not a driver, but in terms of his work behind the scenes with Winton Motor Raceway, the Vanilla Auto Club, and also with the establishment of AASA. Bruce was a very outspoken and sometimes controversial sort of character, but very, very influential in that whole area up there. Had a number of pharmacies in the region, very heavily involved in the local community outside of motor racing as well. Got an Order of Australia award a few years back for his work there. Was I think named Pharmacist of the Year in a few years ago as well for his community work and what he was doing up there. So yeah, very, very sudden apparently, and unfortunately a heart attack, and just totally unexpected. People had been talking to him just that day before. They'd done some work for him on his car, and there was no sign of it coming, and not an old, certainly not an old man. Probably, I'm not sure his exact age, but wouldn't be
Early
sort of
mid 60s, maybe, Brett. Yeah.
early to mid 60s. Certainly be around my age, I would imagine.
Lovely guy.
So there, so anyway, so I know that'll obviously be a big turnout at his funeral when that happens up there, because he was very influential figure up there. Whatever sort of you think about some of his pronouncements in other areas. The one thing you can say about Bruce is he told it like it was, and as he saw it. But he was very, very loyal to officials and volunteers and all that. The one thing about the AASA meetings and Winton in general was they always treated the marshals, compared with some of the other tracks and some of the other events, they always treated the marshals and the media and everybody really well up there. It was very, very well run, circuit, and Bruce was very heavily involved in all that. So, yeah, our condolences to Bruce's family and many friends up there. He'll be a great loss. Also, apart from the fact that he was obviously heavily involved with AASA, he was also on the Victorian State Board at CAMS, or Motorsport Australia, for many, many years as well. So he's had a long history with the sport, given many years of very valuable service. So he will be very sorely missed over as a result of that. So yeah. Anyway, let's we
Quick
won't
MotoGP wrap.
yeah, we won't jump out of that into your theme song, Doc. We'll just go
Awesome.
straight to
Yeah,
we'll just go straight
that's
to
good.
the news.
No taking the piss out of me this week. Awesome. It's a very underrated, massive weekend coming up for MotoGP for a few reasons. One, we've had 3 weeks off. 2, it's round 8 of the series, and it's the Motul Dutch MotoGP at Assen. Now, people forget that Assen has a huge history. The MotoGP has been running for 75 years. is the anniversary this year of MotoGP, the inaugural back in its day, and Assen's been running for 75 years too, so it's done every single one of them. We all
And
had
a huge crowd. They always get a massive crowd there.
So 3 weeks
And,
has promoted a lot of. Sorry, go Mark.
I was just going to say one of the quirks about it was they always used to run the race on Saturday, although that was finally changed to Sunday a couple of years ago.
Which threw me out. I remember because I tuned in on the Saturday to watch the race and went, "Hang on, something's gone wrong here? What's happened?"
Qualifying.
Qualifying. But yeah, they are running on the Sunday on the Sunday now. But they do get huge fields or huge crowds over there, massive crowds, and it is one of the premier events on the MotoGP calendar.
So just some quick wrap up over the last 3 weeks. The silly season's been going wild, of course. Martin, as we know, went to Aprilia. Marquez has gone to the Ducati factory team. Bastianini as well has moved, and Marco Bezzecchi is going to go to Aprilia. So, and a big one, of course. I don't know if we actually got across it, but I think Brett, you might have mentioned at the end of it. Pedro Acosta's gone to KTM, which throws Miller out of a ride. However, Bagnaia has won the last 2 years of it. Martin has never won a race there at Assen. He has won one, but it was back in Moto 3 back in the day. So Alex Espargaro was in the podium last year because Brad Binder got kicked off, so he's the dark horse of the weekend. This is also, people forget, this is 2016. This was Jack Miller's win in the rain and his first win, a little known fact. So that's when he went crazy, and after the race he drank a bottle of tequila, including the worm. Well documented, but doesn't get the media that much. Yeah, he went nuts.
And those worms can make you very sick. I know. I've had the worm as well, and that must have been what made me sick the next day. It couldn't have been the bottle of tequila.
So Bezzecchi won the sprint last year. Go, Mark.
Makes me think of the Poltergeist movie.
I certainly had an out-of-body experience.
Oh, now another one. I've been doing. I had a dentist today, so I haven't been speaking much, and I had time to write a couple of notes down. Danny Pedrosa's got the lap record there. Have a guess what year? Come on, throw it out there. Come on.
2012.
Play a game with me. 2012. Bingo! You hit the red buzzer straight away. 2012. One prize to you. So I'll throw a Snickers bar across the room. Yeah, a Snickers bar across the room to Mr. Mug Jones.
Oh, thank
1
you.
minute. Well, good catch. 1 minute 34.548 seconds. Do you know? Have a stab then, because I reckon you're going to get somewhere near the mark. You get first go at it, Mark. What's the average speed of that lap? Consider probably aim for something and go a little higher. 1 minute 34.
I don't know how long off the top of my head how long the track is. It
doesn't matter. Anyway, Brett, you want to have a stab?
220.
Oh, yeah, I'll go lower. I'll say 180.
You're not far off it, my dear chap. Brett is closest to the pins. Mars bar for Brett. 173 kilometers an hour. They average the speed. So that is just walloping along it's a very fast flowing track. A lot of the riders love it because you're riding by the seat of your pants at such high speed. So, and a quick one. I'm going to go local too. Kevin McGee. Kevin McGee, the Horsham Hurricane, back in 1987, put it on the front row of the grid. He polled second that year as well too. Under Matt Muldoon got front spot, but Kevin McGee actually also too. So he did quite well. Liked Assen as well.
87.
It's so quickly. The driver's seats for the so far that are signed, sealed, delivered for 25, bar little bits and pieces at Yamaha and stuff, others like that. Vignales and Bastianini's at KTM Tech 3, so that's going to be new change next year. Marquez and Bagnaia, obviously Ducati factory. Acosta and Binder at KTM factory because obviously now Miller's out, and Martin and Bezzecchi are going to be at Aprilia. So good luck to all the riders at the Cathedral of Speed this weekend.
There we go. Well, let's wrap it up. We're also coming up this weekend, the Spa 24 Hours. Now, if you're one of those people who joined up to Stan in order for this month in order to see the Le Mans 24-hour race, the good news is you can also watch the Spa 24-hour race because it's going to be on Stan this weekend. Not sure about what's happening with the online coverage on GT World on their YouTube channel. It wasn't the release that I got today from SRO was a little bit vague. It said that it was, quote, would be available in most markets, but but would be geo-locked in others where there were conflicting commercial contracts. Now, I'm not sure about the status of Stan's involvement in terms of what their contract says, but they're certainly being advertised as having the Spa 24-hour on this weekend. It'll be a huge field again at one of the great circuits. So that's then of course around
70 odd GT3s. It's
wow. So that's a round of the Intercontinental GT or the International GT Series, which of course Bathurst was the opening round. The other thing is that Spa, this is also the time when Stefan Rattel does his sort of State of the Union thing, a bit like the Friday at Le Mans is the ACO's big day in terms of major announcements. The SRO on the Friday of Spa also do a big day of media and a big day of presentations. They usually do have that live. We've run it ourselves on the on our YouTube, on our website over the years. So it's always interesting in terms of what the directions are, and with SRO so heavily involved now with the running of the Australian series, it might be interesting to see what their plans are. What their plans are for that. There's also with the GT4 support race has around 57 cars entered as well. And that will be on the YouTube channel. So GT4 and GT3 both, absolutely kicking goals all over the place.
Streaming, Brett, a big congratulations to KO as well today. Whatever it was found out to be as well, they were running ads when they shouldn't be, and they're going to cop a massive fine for it from the Australian Broadcasting Tribunal. So congratulations to them for getting caught out and doing the wrong thing. Well done.
Is that in regard to gambling or?
Whatever they were playing ads when they shouldn't be. I didn't read into it. I only just heard it on the radios.
I know. There's been a lot of because there are times when you're not supposed to be running gambling ads in quote family friendly time slots, and there are so many gambling ads on KO. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they blamed it on a technical issue, but I think well done, good stuff. You deserve it.
We know what that technical issue is. I mean, in terms that's basically someone somebody going, like I see, I know nothing, I see nothing.
Yeah, it was running on autopilot.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was about to give KO a little bit of a plug, but anyway.
well, you can. They're accepting donations because it's going to be huge.
It's going to be fine.
KO and Fox Sports and SBS Viceland, of course, are covering the 2 days of Thunder this weekend from Queensland Raceway. So,
and a big turnout big turnout. Are you going out there, Mark?
I will be out there. I'm not quite sure what my role is because with all the TV guys present, the commentary is going to be set up in a different manner than it would otherwise be. But it's High Tech Oil Super Series is part of 2 Days of Thunder as well.
Big turnout in TA2s. Very impressive. Very impressive. Like this is like the alternative. If they could just get all of these Trans Am cars together, by God, it'd be one hell of a turnout because I think it's 27 or something, 27 cars. It's a good field.
Yeah, Mazda RX-8s will be along as well. So the Legend cars, the Queensland XL series, the Queensland Raceway-based XL Track Attack series. Super TTs, production cars are having a round of their Queensland Championship. Production sports cars and replica tourers and the Queensland Touring Car Championship. So there's Production sports is always a great thing to watch. A variety of cup cars and always a fleet of Mazda MX-5s and Toyota 86s of varying specifications that run as a pack in the second half of the Prod Sports field. So for those of you who don't get to see Prod Sports all that often outside of the GT3s and GT4s, then they'll be fantastic to watch as well. And
quick segue, Mark. Thank you for quick shout outs to. You mentioned Toyota 86s. Clay Richards going to be running back in them again in the new 86 because all the new cars are this year. And a shout out to Jet Johnson. Get well soon as well too.
Yes.
Yeah, and also for down here in Melbourne, as we said, this weekend down at Phillip Island, the latest round of the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championship. And if you want to see it, you will have to go down. As I said, fields fairly small, but still some reasonable fields in improved production. Formula Ford isn't too bad. Some of the other categories are a bit down. I was thinking of going out perhaps either on Saturday or something to do a story on Francois Habib's Falcon, ex-Bob Gill Falcon. Unfortunately, he's decided, although he was entered, the car is currently in various pieces on the workshop floor at the moment, so he won't be there. So I'm not sure whether I'll be heading down there or not. But also Sunday up at Haunted Hills is the next round of the Victorian Hill Climb Championship. That's always a really good place to go and watch some racing. You can sit up there on the hill or on the balcony of the canteen. You see the whole track, view right over the right down to the beautiful the beautiful vista of the Loy Yang Power Station. You can look down.
Soon to go nuclear in about 15 years' time.
Future nuclear power site.
It will be. You can sit there and watch the grass grow while it's transitioning.
While it's still able to grow, and before the fish get the three eyes. So
and it's a potential clash for Austrian protesters.
There you go.
SP's got something for us.
Oh yeah, that's the classic touring car series. Yeah, they've been trying to get that up and running. The people involved were very, very keen to sort of make it happen, but there just really wasn't the interest out there at the moment. The other problem with that as well is, and once again, it's the politics gets involved. A lot of those supercars are now being transitioned into historic racing, and that's really upset a lot of the Group A and Group C guys who are saying if the supercars are running, we're not running, and you get in that whole Formula 5000 Group A, Group P thing where we're not running with the smaller cars, and even if the smaller cars are fun, so we'd rather run sort of a field of 6 or 7 cars. Rather than sort of,
we're 14-inch tyres and they're only 13, so we can't go with them, and the other 15s don't like us, and
Yeah, I mean, so they wouldn't last long in America, where it's just basically like, okay, well, they're a similar car and they're all from a similar style.
You've got wings. You don't have wings.
Just get out there and
get out there and get those cars out on the track and have some fun, but be careful because we don't want to see any of these very valuable cars damaged. But unfortunately. So anyway, so that series fell. But there's just so many. There's way too many series and way too many classes. And as we said at the start, going back to the beginning, this new Ferrari thing, yet another one-make series that will last for however long and will be driven by pushed on by a handful of
there'll be Adrian Portatelli and his mates will be the only ones can afford it.
Yeah, that's it. But anyway, got there. As Jared was saying, Group A were quicker than the early supercars, and that's a case as well. You had with the Nissans and the Cosworth Sierras, they were certainly faster than the early supercars.
Not a great deal, mind you, because
there's nothing. There's not a huge amount.
Like they shared the track together the first couple of years. So
Yeah, so and
Oh,
they could
the
do
first
they could easily do it again as well, but obviously there's different groups pulling in different directions in terms of which way they want to run things, and this was something I didn't know that it had formally died. I know that they were struggling, and I know that the people involved were sort of saying, look guys, we've got to make a decision soon. We need you to enter, and obviously not
Well,
enough people were interested.
I think there were. I think there were possibly on the entry list for this weekend at 2 Days of Thunder as well. But
Yeah,
like that was one of their one of their meetings was at least tentatively scheduled to be up here for that. So
yeah, it was going to run with the double A, so that was another thing too that I'd heard from a few people as well. Because the involvement with double ASA, some people were worried about some possible, but once again, it's the case of the double ASA being there has helped because there was a lot of resistance from within the historic racing community, sort of on the Motorsport Australia side, to these cars. And once the news came around that there's going to be this series for double ASA and all the cars are going to go there. Suddenly, it's like, well, we might open up a spot for them officially, and got there. But I think what Phil's saying, like Ferrari One Make Series would make a great addition, adding it to GT3. But I mean, there's so many of those GT3 cars that we used to see at the Victorian State Round. I mean, it used to have, you had Ted Huglin's. Lamborghini, and we had a couple of Audis and quite a few Porsches, a couple of Ferraris. It was fabulous racing, great fields, and they sort of moved away from the state series because they wanted longer races. They said, if we can't have longer races, we're going to run our own series, and it's become sort of invisible now. The same to an extent, even with the Excels, they're still getting great fields and all the rest of it, but they are running sort of at those access meetings with no coverage, with no spectators. But I don't think I think they don't care. I think that's Richard has probably said, look, that's not why we do it. We get there, we do it to go racing and to have fun, and if we can get longer races and more track time, and it costs way less money, then why the hell wouldn't you do it?
I suppose the old 3-event national series for prod sports and older GT3s was one of the series that did survive COVID, I think, if memory serves.
Yeah, but anyway, let's there. And yes, and I see with Doc's there. By the way, if you've just arrived and you're watching, hi Julian, welcome back.
I'm sure. Yeah, he's a little bit preoccupied at the moment. He's just got a bit of jet lag, so he'll probably be with us shortly. So
he'll probably be with us. Former colleague of mine at Melbourne Uni. Actually, I never met him. I didn't know him, but he used to work at Melbourne Uni around the time I did. But anyway, so welcome back to Julian Assange, and yes, be interesting if there's any non-disclosure. Speaking of non-disclosure, just quickly, if you haven't done so yet, go to Auto Action, Australian Auto Action. It's online, it's free. The digital version is free online. Go have a read of the Betty Clemenco interview. Interesting in a number of respects. Not that it tells us anything new. But the one thing it does tell us is for sure is, and I think it's pretty obvious that if Betty sort of said if she can get the right deal, she would be just as happy to walk away from everything at the moment. She's basically had enough of it all, and she probably wants out. So that's.
I think Brett, I'm glad you brought it up. Oh, I think Matt Basso has also got a feature in it, this one as well too, with his karting, and he was on our show just recently.
Oh, okay, yes, didn't know that. So,
Matt put a post up this afternoon and said that check out the First Auto Action specialised segment of karting, and I'm a big part of it. So please jump on board that. So congratulations to those guys and getting a a little spot there as well too. So while you're reading bet,
as we said, I mean, Matt, the reason he was on our show was he was so forward and so proactive in sort of saying, hi guys, I'm going to send you a regular updates. I'm going to send you a newsletter. Would love to come on the show at any opportunity. And we said, yeah, we'd love to have you. That's the sort of thing that you need to see particularly from young drivers. I think it's one of the problems at the moment with one of the things I'll do with going down to, if I do go down to Phillip Island, is to try and catch up with what's happening with young drivers in Formula Ford locally, because I've got really no idea. You never hear anything from them. You never hear anything from the category. It's like they've got an opportunity to get these kids some primetime television airtime, and you just never hear from them. It's which
just
is a
on the
shame.
flip side, then, Brett.
Got out there and
just on the flip side, we also had Jackson McDonald, which is on the other flip side on the bikes, and he's over in Spain at the moment. He's racing, and I've been keeping a bit of an eye on his stuff. I did a P5 in qualifying the other day or something like that. So he's not listening to us. He was on the same flight as Julian coming back from the
Marianas Islands.
Marianas Islands, Sepang. So, good. Keep going, Jackson. Go your hardest and do us proud over there in Spain too.
Yeah, and try and stay safe and be successful, and hopefully we'll have another sort of young Australian coming through the ranks in MotoGP over the next few years. Okay, everybody, thanks for joining us. Now, not 100% sure about next week. I've got quite a lot of things happening right now in my life that have nothing to do with motor racing or anything else like that, and so I'm not sure for the next couple of weeks what is going on. If there's
so you're competing in High Rocks this weekend, are you, Brett?
I don't know whether I'm not competing anywhere. As I said, if I can get down to Phillip Island, on Saturday I might. Apart from that, I've got far more important things than motorsport to worry about at the moment, and I'm sort of trying to concentrate on that. So hopefully next week we will have just a reminder. In Pit Lane was scheduled to come back for September on Channel 31 and also on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. One of the things, if I can I'm trying to find the time to put together the historic Winton stuff. As I said, I just don't have time to sit in front of an edit suite at the moment. I mean, literally, I'm going from 7 a.m. till after midnight on other projects, other things that are, as I said, far more important. So, but that's nobody's business of mine. Okay, everybody, we'll see you. Hopefully, we'll see you next week.
And thank you for not asking me about State of Origin.
I'd forgotten. Oh, it's down here too, isn't it? Yeah.
I can see you waving the remote control everywhere in frustration.
I had it switched off for the cast, and since we were breaking up, I've flicked it back on again, and the score is actually worse than what it was.
Good to see the remote control still in your hand, not in the middle of the TV.
When you say worse, that sounds to me like New South Wales aren't winning, are they?
It's
Oh well, you can't go back to back if you're not winning. So, well, everyone's gonna have a chance.
Yeah.
All right, have a good one, guys.
The thrashing as the first game was, just in the other direction.
Right. Okay. Well, that'll be wonderful experience and once again, I was offered free tickets every time they come down here. There's so many free tickets floating around, and somebody actually today in the supermarket down here at Hampton Park said, "Hey, listen, what are you doing tonight? Would you like to go and see the State of Origin?" That was like, no.
Quick, Queensland try, Luke. Quick, shut us off now.
They're coming back. They're only half the score of New South Wales now.
It's an exciting game. Okay, everyone, we'll see you next week, everybody. See you later. Bye-bye.